Hello everybody, Mr. Divas here. So today we're going to do something that I haven't done in a long time. I'm going to make a tutorial on how to do some lighting reference for your 2D or 3D art, whatever you need. But this is some easy lighting reference for everybody to use, and it's 100% free, so it shouldn't be too hard. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get the 3D program Blender. That is available on Steam for free, of course. I would recommend that you get it from Steam rather than the actual website because it's an easier setup. Well, for me. But if you know how to install it from the site, or if you already have it, perfect. Alright. So once you have it from Steam, go to Sketchfab and pick out a nice Asaro head model. Of course, this will be great reference. The one I picked for myself is the Simple Asaro head by a name I'm not going to pronounce. I'm just going to put a link in the description to this specific one if you want, but there's other options out here. There's a paid option by John Asaro himself up here. Anyway, once you have that installed, do make sure that you have it installed. You move the file to a memorable place. For me, I set it in models. Give it a second. With faces. So this would be where the model is. Remember this. Remember this. Copy that. And then close out your files. So now what you want to do is open up Blender. Now when you open Blender, you're going to be met with a small menu. I kind of skipped over this. You can just click away from it and it can lead you to this scene. So first thing you're going to do, you're going to left click, drag over the light and the object and delete it. Now you can move your viewport camera around by holding middle click. So I'm going to import our Roche head model. Not Roche head. Asaro head. I'm gonna import the Asaro head model from where I saved it from. In faces. Now I'm gonna import it. Rotate it on Z-axis. You can press R and then rotate it on the Z. And then once you've got it at the right rotation, press G, and then press Z to move it along the Z-axis. G grabs it and moves it around, and after you press R or S or G, if you press X, Y, or Z, it locks it to an axis. And if you don't want to lock it to an axis, press one of the axis buttons again. If you want to let go of the object and put it back where you want it to, press escape. Now line up your camera with this object. You can orbit with middle click. I told you this already. But you can also pan by holding shift and then hitting middle click. So now that you have it centered, press Control, Alt, Numpad 0, and it snaps the camera over to where you're looking at. So I'm going to scroll in, and then please, if you're going to use Eevee, this is for lower end computers. Click Ambient Occlusion, Bloom, and Screen Space Reflections. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. Sorry about that. The recording software I used just stopped. So I'm going to have to reshoot this part of the tutorial, but it's worth a go. Anyway, so now that you have all this, have the light position set up and the head position where you want to, first of all, before we actually change the surface of the model, I'm going to show you how to align the camera if you get it off, because I failed to include that in the original shot. So if your camera's a little off, just select it after you hit Ctrl-Alt-0 to move it to where you want to. Select the camera, then hit G. So now you can pan the camera right where you want to. Okay. And so now we're going to strengthen the bloom this time. And then we're going to select the head, change the world background to black. Okay. We go back to the material preview, and then give it the color after selecting base color, we give it a color. Let's go for close to human skin. Okay, looks good. Human skin's not metallic, but if you want to do like metal statue, this turning up the metallic would work. Like, see? Look at that. Okay, so now for completely metallic, you can turn down the roughness and you can get that. But yeah, we're not making a metal man, we're making a human, so let's change that material back to skin by reducing the metal and increasing the roughness. That looks like a pretty good skin tone. Okay, now we go to rendered view. And then I'm going to Shift A, then go down to light and add a point light. Now you're not going to see it because it's going to spawn at the center of the area. So we're going to press G. Ignore that, that's an email. You're going to move it. And as you see, that's already better lighting. But for Eevee, we're going to use this as ambient lighting, and we're going to use this as a main light. So first, well, we're going to bring it up, and then we're going to turn out that power by a lot. Okay, so in 3D space, you just press G, move it, then click to place it. Now you hit middle mouse to rotate around, check to see if everything's right. If you don't like it, you can align yourself, click the point, press G, move it further out. And that looks good to me, but now it's lost its power, so now I'm going to turn it back. I'm going to turn it up again. And then I'm going to press G and move it up, because that's where I want it. So now if I hit 0 on the numpad, it automatically moves it back to where I want it to be. And of course, this is how it will look in Eevee. Now, you don't have to use the plane, so I'm going to hide it by selecting it, then pressing H. If you don't want it in the render, but you still want it for later, you can come over here, press hide in viewport, and then press hide in disable in renders, so it doesn't show up in the render. So now we're going to add another light source on the point. We're going to just add it below. Add it right there. So 0 on the keypad, and then turn it up, and you can also change the color. So let's give that a blue ambient light. Let's make it a little further. And there. So now that you have your lighting set up, you press F12 to render it,
it's going to open up a new window, and it's going to pretty much instantly render it. This is for lower end computers, and this mainly uses the CPU. At this point in the video, I'm going to tell you that we're going to be moving on to advanced renders from this point on, and you're going to have to require a higher processor. So you can stop here if you want. If this works for you, it works for you. But if you want to go a little deeper, then I suggest you stay and watch the rest. So now we're going to switch over to the advanced render in cycles. But wait, before you click it, go to Edit, Preferences, then go to System, and then under Cycles, Render Devices, check to make sure you have optics selected, and then make sure you have either a graphics card or a high CPU to render it on. Now, I have a graphics card, so it doesn't impact my CPU usage. So if you have a graphics card, I highly recommend that you select it, because it works a lot better than a CPU. So now that is set up, go over to Render Engine under Render Properties and switch to Cycles. And of course, it's going to set you on CPU. You don't want this. So you click CPU and hit GPU Compute. You do this if you have a graphics card. And that makes the rendering in the viewport, well, when you turn around, you can see that it's noisy. That's because it's actually doing math as you change your view. So it's rendering every single light path that comes out of the points. So at this point, you don't really have to use the point lights anymore. So I'm going to delete them.
So now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane. So Shift A, go to Mesh, click Plane. Now, hit S, scale it up. Hit G, bring it up. Alright, good. So now, move over to the next viewport shading, up here in the corner. And you go down to Material Properties after selecting Plane. The plane doesn't have a material right now, so we're going to give it one. We're going to hit New, Surface, then Emission.
I'm going to bring back the old plane. And as you can see, that is significantly better than when it was rendered in Eevee. But yes, it is still noisy because this is not a fully rendered thing. There's a way to denoise it through Blender, but I don't typically do it. I usually use Photoshop for that. So now that this is set, I'm going to move this back up, and now for really for the really advanced part of this, I'm going to go into shading. Yes, the shading port is intimidating, but don't worry, it's actually simpler than you think. So, up here in the top viewport, select the plane that has the emission, and it will bring you to the material of whatever object you have selected. So now, what I want you to do is click down here, click Shift A, then click Search, then in the search bar, type black body. And that is going to bring up a special little node. So what you want to do is, right here at color, there's a yellow dot. I want you to grab that, drag it all the way over to the yellow dot on emission. But what's this? It changed the color to orange. Now, the reason it did that is because black body takes temperature values and turns them into a color of light. So they use Kelvin. So I would suggest that if you don't know what Kelvin is, you could learn what certain temperatures of Kelvin look like. Or you could do what I do and just not drag that node, hover over the slider, click, and then just pretty much ram your mouse off the table. And that drastically changes the color of it. So, or you could just click it and type in whatever you want. So I want a temperature of 20, well, should I say, let's do 20 million Kelvin. No, it went straight back down to 20. Hold on. 20 million Kelvin. So 20 million Kelvin, that's pretty hot. So the surface is going to be extremely bright and white. So if I go back to the rendered view, it's going to get this. It's pretty nice. So to render this, first of all, make sure that your camera's lined up, because sometimes you may accidentally move it. So again, press numpad 0 to move back, and then press F12 once you make sure that this is alright. And as you can see, it already renders it differently. But wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, oops. So I noticed a little mistake I did trying to render this. So my mistake was not including the plane in the render, because remember, earlier we turned it off. So we go back over here and re-enable it in the render by clicking the little camera icon. And then now if I press F12, you get this. A really nice render. And so you can also change out this material for something a little more advanced. Now don't worry, it's not going to be too advanced. So first of all, Shift A, color ramp. Now if you've seen a gradient tool, this is basically that. So now you click middle mouse down here, so you can pan over and Shift A and type in noise. So now you take the color, plug it into the factor, and as you can see, it's doing something. Of course, it's not strong enough, so grab that gradient and slide the black over a little bit. Now it is strong enough to make a difference. So what I would do with this is I would turn the scale down to make it bigger on the plane, which is weird, yes, but that's how it works. Then I would change the black color to something like, let's do light blue. Then I would change the white color to dark blue. Then I would bring it in closer to light blue. And look at what that's doing. That is creating such a nice little aquatic effect on the face. Now, of course, if you go back to the material preview, it'll be easier on your computer to do that. So if I go to the side, rotate it, and then drag it in front. If I hit 0 to just be sure. Okay. Then go to Viewport Shading. you can play around with the lighting on this, and it looks really good. So I see my problem with this. So I would recommend going to the side view by pressing 1 or 3 depending on where you have it turned, and it would automatically turn the camera to one side. So for me, I'm pressing 1, but it depends on how you rotate your head. Don't worry about it. I'm just trying to line up the plane with the head. So now if I go back to the camera and hit rendered view, it's going to show me a little preview of this. Of course, I can change the colors if I want. Maybe a bit of yellow. For a cleaner cut, I'm going to switch to constant, so I don't only have to move one slider. Look at that. I mean, of course I can move the other slider to make this easier. But let's choose different colors. So I'm going to choose really bright red and yellow. You know what? Let's do yellow and pink. Yeah, yellow and pink. And press the plus sign to add another color to the ramp. And you can add a third color if you want. I'm gonna do white. Actually, maybe let's do light blue. And it creates an interesting effect. So when I render it, you can see that there, from one direction, multiple different lights is shining onto the head. That is the effect of the noise and the color ramp combined. So that was the advanced lighting setup. And of course, you don't have to use the area plane. You can just add a point, turn it up, move it to where you need to be. And just like Eevee, in Eevee, you're all good, but it just renders a lot better than Eevee. Eevee's for quick stuff. Cycles is way more detailed. But if you're looking for a sun, you can totally do that in Cycles. So what I'm going to do is add a sun. And the sun is basically an environment light. So it spans over the whole environment from just sitting in one point. Moving it around doesn't change where it is, rotating it does. So now I have sunlight. If I turn it on, do the render, I get that. This method is really nice for advanced light reference. I really do recommend it to you. It's not limited to this model. So if I go back, you can take other models and hold on. Let's find a jet model. There are all sorts of models over here on Sketchfab that are free. Some of them require to be paid for. There's a whole bunch of models over here that you can look at for references. And look at this. Look at this. This is a pretty good reference. So if I download that real quick, hold on. That's a blend file, so you can just straight up open this file in Blender. But I'm not looking for a blend file. But let's take this F16. So just download it, take it, move it to wherever you have it all saved. I typically save all my models in pictures and then put it in models. Then I take that and put it, you categorize it, but for now we're just going to put it here. I'm just going to edit all this whole process out. So now, with the new model downloaded, I'm going to go back to solid shading, delete this head, and then I'm going to import this new file. It's a different file types. It's an FBX, so just import it. So FBX comes with their also comes with model textures, but sometimes it can come with animations. Depends. So now in render view, it's going to give me the same effect. Of course, it's not a very good model, but here I can see that it can be changed to metallic. Can turn on the roughness to actually have texture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my sun. I'm going to change the color on it to be orange. Yeah, let's do that. And I can jack up the brightness by actually clicking it and turning up the value with the numpad. And that is very bright, so we're just going to settle for 100. Let's try that. Now if I hit the render, it's not limited to just the head model. You can import any kind of free model that you can find, or if you bought a model online, you can. This works very well for it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This has been a really fun experience for me. It's been the first time in a long time since I've done this. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.